Hello, and welcome to yet another episode of the Back to the TARDIS podcast, the podcast where we take a look at every single episode of the 2005 revival of BBC's Doctor Who. I'm Geoff.
Hello, I'm Aurora.
And I'm Lumine.
And this week we are discussing Series 10, Episode 1, The Pilot by Stephen Moffat. This episode is like a weird, soft reboot for the show. It is kind of like Moffat's attempt at Rose, the episode Rose, not the character Rose.
Which is really weird to do in the middle of a run.
Well, and on your last season.
Yeah.
Because this was his... It's very odd. However, I'm not going to fault it for doing that. I will only fault Moffat for deciding to stop, which, I mean, is also understandable because he'd been in it for 7 years at this point and just needed to get out. But yeah, no, this episode is immaculate. In fact, I think it is better than almost all of Series 9 stuff. Not all, like Heaven Sent is better. Under the Lake is Before the Flood is probably better, and there's maybe like one other thing, but like on the whole, this is incredibly good and feels like everything clicking into place again in a way that I don't feel like it's entirely been firing there for the past couple seasons, even though they were good seasons.
Yeah.
I think it's a really good episode. I don't agree with your assessment that it's better than everything in Season 9 because I think...
Not everything, most things.
Okay, but I also don't think it's better than Magician's Apprentice or the Zygon two-parter, so... Yeah, or Face the Raven, so I don't think it's better than, like, almost anything in Season 9 except, you know... So yeah, I mean, it's really good. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to neg this episode. I think it's a really solid intro. I just really like Season 9.
Valid. I think something clicked with me that, like, it's so nice to have a, like a setting to have aside from, like, the TARDIS and the conceit of everything going on with that, because I look back to RTD era and how, like, Cardiff was such a central place, like a returning location to that series, to that era. And it's just like, it's nice to have, like, basically like another take on the Doctor. For whatever reason is stuck with the third Doctor. It was UNIT, and he was helping out basically the space military equivalent, kind of. He was helping out UNIT, and here it's for a different reason, but it's like, it's still, it adds to that ambiance that I think, I don't know, it's good to return to. I think it's good for the series to return to that every now and again, just to like ground the Doctor in our world, so that like the fantastical becomes even like more like majestic
in a good in a good episode.
Yes.
not pointing any I'm not saying any names, pointing any fingers, but y'all know.
We disavow. I'm excited. I'm so excited to go through this run of Series 10. The first episode, the pilot, did not disappoint.
Yeah, and I definitely, back when Season 10 aired, I think we were a little negative on Bill. It was just sort of the place we were at that time. I think rewatching it, we're definitely, like, a lot more just, like, I like her. She's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we want... Go ahead.
So she's good, like, as a character, she's fantastic.
Yes,
absolutely. But I think when it initially came out, I remember a common thing being about how much she openly talks about being gay, and how much that wasn't like people didn't like that and felt that that was too much and blinking it too obvious. And I get to where I am now in 2022, and I look around at the state of media, and I say with conviction that this is honestly significantly better than the majority of stuff still.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll see how I feel how it goes on, but I think at worst the crime is that they bring it up fairly often, and it's just like whatever.
Yeah.
Like that was something we cared about when we were a major loser in high school, but at this point, like, yes, girl, get it, you're a fucking dyke.
Yeah.
And
slay
also, frankly, we wouldn't it's worth examining. Like, would we say the same thing if she was talking about men? Because no, I don't think we would.
Yeah, and that's me just like saying high school us was a fucking idiot.
Yeah. I remember
No,
this
me
was
too.
like by this point, I think this might have actually been the same year that like reactionary like media critique was just starting to like really take off. The seeds have
It would have been the year of The Last Jedi.
exactly. I was
Oh,
about to
boy.
bring that up. Like the seeds were planted, and we were about to go fucking nuclear when The Last Jedi came out. But around this time, I remember us, the gang, the system. There were some pretty yikesy, cringe, Dave Rubin-esque views, and I remember. I think looking back, a lot of people were concerned because I think on the more like politically left side, there were people who were like super anti-Moffat, who were thinking like, oh, you know, the last time he wrote like sapphic characters was like Vastra and Jenny, and they're not like terrible characters, but their representation also kind of just became a meme by their last episode.
Yeah.
And then there were people, of course, on the right who look at like anything that's like explicitly queer and then and then go goblin mode, let's say, in lieu of other words. But one thing, Bill's introductory scene is brilliant. I relate to her a lot. Just like someone asks a question and I just ramble on, hoping that it'll get to the point. But this is how much Twitter has destroyed my brain, right? Because I hear her go on this story about like how she like she was like inadvertently creating this like I guess like Pavlovian response with like feeding this girl extra chips, and then I'm just like, I wonder how like the discourse around this scene that this character is introduced arguably like playing into some like feeder kink or some shit. Like it's not, but like people would take it there.
Also the thing being like, oh, I made her fat is a little bit like that came out 5 years ago. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, it's not even, I think it's softened a bit by the fact that she says like right afterwards that it's just like, oh yeah, there's like chips and beauty, which in and of itself, like that's a line written by a dude.
Also,
probably.
I think there's a
and
shot like later on in the montage where like that girl comes up to get chips,
Yeah,
and she gives her a little bit extra and winks at her. So
yeah, that it's arguably played for. Well, I mean, yeah, it is basically played for comedy. The only thing that sort of softens it is she's just like, yeah, there's beauty in chips, and I like chips, and so does she. So it's like, it's not necessarily like overtly negative. I just like, again, Twitter has ruined my brain. I saw that scene immediately, and I was just like, oh, if this came out today, how much fucking worse would this have been? Yeah. My dumb observation aside, it's a really great introductory scene. I love how we start basically in medias res of the Doctor has already taken a notice to her. We just like get right to it. The pacing on this episode isn't the best, but I think that like helps a lot that we just start off with that and build that dynamic.
Obviously, that's sort of like the central conceit to this whole season is like the Doctor somehow ended up here doing a thing, guarding a mysterious box that we don't know what it is. It's a good little setup. I can't think of another storyline that sort of starts out so similar that, yeah, we don't really know what's going on, but the Doctor does. Yeah.
Yeah. So like a couple things off the bat. First off, congratulations to Pearl Mackie on her engagement to her wife. Very based. Second, I think people, the part of the reason, like, this is a known phenomenon. Like, it happened with RTD and it happened with Moffat too, of just like being tired of Moffat at this point. Like, it had been the over 5 years at this point straight of just Moffat, and people were ready to move on to the next thing. Now, admittedly, the problem would be that the next thing was bad. And if I ever come around on Chibnall episodes more than it is inoffensively bland, I give you permission to euthanize me.
Based.
But yeah, I think part of it too was just people not being willing to give Moffat rope, because like when I go back and look at it now and I look at Bill, for Moffat, Bill as someone who, she's not a Gen Zer, but she's a millennial, so like closer to us and a bit closer to us than someone like Rose would have been, and definitely like Martha would have been. He does a remarkably good job of writing this person, of writing Bill, that doesn't feel incredibly boomery.
Wait, how old is Rose?
Rose is like
19
in
Okay.
2005.
So she's just barely a millennial, but like a really old
Yeah.
millennial. Gotcha.
But like, I imagine Bill would probably be about our age in 2017, which is the other end of the spectrum where we start to get into the gray area where it starts blending into Gen Z.
Yeah. So Rose is
Yeah.
like the Gen X millennial, and by the time we get to Bill, it's like Gen Z millennial.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's... I get where the anti-Moffat stuff comes from. Maybe it's just perspective of, like, having gone through the Chibnall era, but even the most cringe stuff of Moffat, it's just like, okay, you're kind of being a fucking dickhead, but, like...
At least you're
we're
doing
still good,
something.
you know? Yeah, and, like, having gone through, like, basically 90% of Moffat at this point, I think it's, like, a pretty uncontroversial statement to say that when he was at peak, like, overworked status, he was basically giving in to, like, his most base... I don't want to say shallow instincts
Yeah.
as a writer, but it's like, this was his wheelhouse, and he was going to, like, do that, and you know, forget about, like, fucking decorating it, or, like, putting on, like, nice lighting, like... basically all the extra stuff that you would do once you, like, do your stuff and then refine it. It seems like there wasn't that as much process there. And of course, like, all of the Chibnall era has been, like, moving away from that. But I think, like, that combined with, like, he knew this was his last... I don't know, this just hits different. And
Yeah.
it might just be nostalgia, you know, contributing to that. But it legitimately, like... I won't go so far as to say it's like RTD core, but it's just, it feels different, and it feels like lessons learned from, like, every other series that's come before, you know?
Yeah. And I also think, like, it really... We really hear, like, and it's also reflected in 12 of how, like, 12 has just kind of become peak 12, and it is kind of like, I like 12 and Clara. I don't get the Clara hate, but 12 and Bill is really just like the best thing since 10 and Donna by a long shot.
Yes. He feels... Well, we
Stop
can,
being
we can get into
contrarian.
it, but...
Motherfucker.
Okay, it's not that I don't dislike 12 and Bill by any measure. I just really like 12 and Clara.
Valid. there's a moment in this episode, it's a bit later on, but it's like, what's the sky made out of? Lemon drops. And he looks content, like, being silly. Like, yeah, he has that, like, more grave, like, undertone to him still, but, like, he's comfortable with himself. And that's, like, that's fucking cool to see. You know, that's...
Yeah.
Again, it's not something we've really had since, you know, Ten and Donna, and he was just, like, having fun, like, palling around with his best friend. There wasn't, you know, any weird, like, romantic tension with Rose or with Martha. It was just, like, these two people enjoyed being around each other. And I think at the best moments, Eleven and Amy had the potential to be there, but there was so much other bullshit
Series
going
6
on.
And 7 sucked too bad.
Yeah, that it never quite reached it. And there was the whole, like, with Series 5 doing the whole fairy tale thing, it never really felt like these two were, like, actually friends, you know, for all the praise I give that series. So again, yeah, it's returning to a dynamic that we haven't had in a long time, but it's still, like, new, because it's that Donna 10 dynamic with, like, kind of the Rose and 9 or the Rose and 10 setup, as you said, Jeff. So it's
and
good shit.
And just, like, it's like 12 has, like, reached a point that no other Doctor on screen has, at least since the revival, has reached, where, like, until Bill came around, you could totally see how, like, that he did settle down on Earth for this time, and that he did settle down on Beryllium for 24 years with River, etc. And while he kind of the wanderlust reactivates once he has someone to take around, you get the sense that he's finally, I don't know, acting his age.
Yeah, it's a really
and just being a fun, kooky professor.
It's a really interesting point for the character, and I don't think it's something we appreciated, like, as a kid when we were or, like, not as a kid, but, like, as a teenager when this was coming out, because at that point we had sort of been, like, keeping up season to season, and it's just, like, rewatching it over these last couple of years, it's, like, really clear how there's, like, appreciable differences in maturity between the Doctors. And that he, like, not just as a single Doctor, but the Doctor overall at this point has, like, reached a point of more maturity than when the show started. And then obviously 13 goes back on that.
Yeah, I know. 13 brings the Doctor into a whole new bold era by daring to ask the question, what if the Doctor didn't have a character?
Yeah.
Even better, what if the Doctor didn't have a character arc?
God.
Save us, RTD.
You can just have random things happen to the Doctor that kind of suck, and that's a character arc, right?
Yeah. RTD, this is an open letter. I know this is, like, your heyday, and you have, like, 10 and Donna back again, but we know that you appreciate the Moffat era enough to hire Rachel Talalay, so I am begging you, bring Bill back for something, please.
Hope he sees this, King.
If they actually do the multi-Doctor thing with the, like, filming on the closed set, like people teased there was, and 12 shows up, and it's 12 and Bill and not 12 and Clara, I will be winning so fucking hard.
We'll all be winning, honestly. Yeah. This is such a weird series to, like, praise, like, right off the bat, because it's, like, it's a soft reboot. You know, we're kind of recycling some old tropes and, like, putting them through, like, the reboot. Like, basically, like, the whole of the revival has been, but it, like, I think part of the reason it feels so fresh is just, like, who Bill is as a character, as, like, just who she is generationally, and the fact that, like, usually Doctor Who doesn't allow Doctors to, like, be around once they have a character arc, or if they even have one. Like, 9 kind of gets comfortable with who he is, and then he dies. 10 basically goes through the trauma conga line, and then he, like, basically voluntarily unalives himself by being like, oh yeah, I've lived, this version of me has lived too long. 11, honestly, who the fuck knows? But, like, 12 has, like, legitimately gone probably, like, through, like, 2 major phases of, like, here's this mask, and here's me trying too hard to be, like, cool, and, like, I'm in a toxic relationship with my companion, and now he's just vibing. It's, like, it's so great to see this, like the Doctor is actually a person, you know?
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's nice to, I don't know, it feels like something about, it's like Bill's family and Bill's personal life isn't necessarily explored as thoroughly as Clara or Rose or someone, but it just feels like it just clicks so much more, or it's able to do so much more with less. Like the bit where she goes, yeah, my mom died and I didn't really have any photos, so as a Christmas gift, and this is peak 12, like going back to find her mother and give her some photographs for Christmas.
Yeah, that was a really good moment. I was like, this is how you do someone who, like, doesn't, this is how you do a character that doesn't, like, constantly, like, talk about their feelings.
Yeah.
Or, like, not like 13, but, like, it's, like, clear that the Doctor still cares. It's, like, an acts of service kind of thing. And it's just like, well, I can't express this through words, so, like, I noticed what you said, and I'm gonna, like, pay it back in another way. It's a good touch. Yeah. There's a lot of small moments like that. And, yeah, with her family, it's very quick. Like, she and her foster mom, her foster mom don't really get along. And then there's, like, this, just with, like, that one scene, like, way later on with, like, the phone call, and it's just like, oh, are you out with this guy? It's like, no. And it's just like, well, you're calling me from his phone. Like, it's just, like, it sets up this whole, like, tapestry of what their relationship is, and you see the mom on screen for maybe, like, a total collection of, like, 15 seconds, and that's probably, like, overestimating it.
Yeah. Yeah, it manages to make the use of, like, taking place over, like, a decently lengthy period of time, because that, you know, that intro montage starts, I presume it's, like, from, like, spring all the way back around to spring again, or summer all the way back around to spring again. But it doesn't feel overly rushed, or it manages to be very efficient with how it uses a longer length of time to tell its story.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah, it contributes to the idea that he's been around here for a long time. Yeah. This isn't something over a month, like, or a week, like the caretaker bullshit. He's here.
It's really interesting, because I think it lends credence to the idea that he is just settled down, that he's, like, he meets someone who's interesting, and he's just absolutely willing to just, like, hang around tutoring her for a year. And that's just, like, what he does. That's, you know, you get the sense that that's, like, the most interesting thing in his life right now, besides the mysterious vault in his basement.
Yeah. And then, yeah, we get into the plot of Bill being pulled into the plot of this episode because of a hot girl. How relatable.
Look, say what you will about Moffat, his representation of U-Haul lesbianism is sublime.
Oh my god, I didn't even think of that.
I can't believe how much better this episode is at being really gay than any episode that has Jenny and Vastra in it. It's astonishing.
The most unrealistic thing about this, to me, is, I mean, nothing about the actual relationship. Like, you know, when you're around our age, and younger even, like, you know, chemistry is just like, sometimes it's just like you meet someone and you're just like, you're hot, I want to do things. And but like the idea of just like someone hating that their eye has like a, like, I get body dysmorphia as a thing, but like bitches loves central heterochromia.
It's
like,
and it's not even like normal heterochromia. It's like, yeah, my iris has a star in it, which is not a real thing. That's like a comic book
I mean, the
shit.
pattern of that would probably be like due to scarring, but there are people who have like a blue eye and then sort of like that like striking yellow color. Like, that is a thing. So it's just like, I don't know. But again, like, this episode doesn't feed you, at least in terms of that dynamic, it doesn't feed you easy relationships like that. Like, some people go to university and they're, like, fucked up, and it's just like, oh, you're hot, what do you have to worry about? And it's just like, well, have you looked outside recently? I don't know, it's...
Oh, no. Oh, I just looked at the fucking transcript, and I was just scrolling down and reading ahead and seeing the bit where, like once Heather gets like puddled and starts like following Bill, and I see the adjective gushing, and I'm like, oh no, I can't make that joke. That's too cursed. That's too far for me.
That's on a different website.
Now I'm absolutely curious.
Yeah.
How many AO3 fics there are where Bill...
All right, we're going to do this live on the air. Archive of our own
I want to know
Doctor
if
Who.
Bill fucks the water Heather in how many AO3 fics.
Oh, specifically the water
yes,
one. Not
specifically
Heather.
the water one.
Okay, I feel like that's going to be like 1 or 2, if any.
Darn. Clearly.
Let's see here. What we got? We have...
God.
154 works overall. Not bad.
Modest, yeah.
Because, like,
I'm not seeing ones involving water here. I don't think that's a thing.
That's a shame, because there's a lot of possibilities there. You know, is like... Because, you know, she can sort of get into a lot of places like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I know what I'm doing tonight. Fuck.
However, it does look like out of the tags, Heather and Bill is the most popular AO3 pairing involving Bill that's like an actual like slash pairing. By a long shot. Hold on.
I mean, that kind of makes sense. Like,
keep talking. I'm gonna source.
I can't imagine they would put her with anyone else. But yeah, you know,
Missy.
I've seen her with 13.
And Missy.
I've seen that ship, which makes sense, but that's about it.
And Missy, because, you know, the normal, quote unquote normal lesbian and the feral lesbian.
True. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, point is, Water Heather can get into a lot of good places, gushing, filling things up. You get the point. You get the image.
Thank you for saying what I couldn't. I will now do my best to resist the urge to edit that out of the episode. Where were we?
God. Oh, okay. Here's my one actual... I'm gonna put on my lay Reddit media understander hat on. Yes, it's a fedora. Why do you ask? But Doctor Who does this thing occasionally, and Star Trek does this so fucking much. If we ever theoretically do any Star Trek, which, you know, everything is up in the air, probably not, but whatever. There's this trope where the Enterprise or the Doctor will come across this, like, incredible alien technology or species that, like, does stuff that no one expects, and it even like outclasses like the Enterprise, for example, or the TARDIS, or established like hallmarks of the series like the Daleks or the Klingons or etc. And it might not even be given a name, and then you never see it again.
It's really weird.
This like,
oh my god, what if this was the space CIA or whatever?
Wait, what? Sorry, what is this?
Like, we're talking about the spaceship that this oil would have originated from, because it's like
oh yeah,
more advanced than like almost
Yeah.
even the TARDIS at some points.
don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
yeah, no. That's definitely what they're going with. But like the fact that this can like that like Dalek fire just like passes right the fuck through that, I'm just like, what fucking species is this from?
Okay,
Like,
I'm going to make a hypothesis here, and this is my own personal critical reading of this, and has no basis in reality. That's not normally what the capabilities of the water spaceship thingy is. She's just able to do that because of how gay she is.
So true.
You know what? Valid.
I still think it's the timeless
Again,
child space CIA.
Yeah, no, fuck that. Yeah. Again, it doesn't matter, but it's just stuff like that is always funny to me in sci-fi, where it's just like, okay, let's do this thing. Okay, how, why, and like where, and it's just like, and then the answer is basically that they want an excuse to write a story with like thematically like gay angst, and I'm just like, you know what? Fair enough. You've convinced me.
I'd like to backtrack just a minute to when like Water Heather is first revealed, where Bill like walks up and is like, and then just like backs up and grabs a fucking umbrella. I love my favorite Doctor Who companions are the ones that are like, oh, shit's going down, I'm going to be proactive. It's very, very Ace, which fits because Ace is also absolutely a lesbian.
Yes. Bill's TARDIS reaction is also very good.
Yes.
Yes.
And okay, can I just say the little, the spiel 12 does to her feels very much like he's like it's just like he's rehashing what he practiced in the Husbands of River song, like his like fake reaction. He's just like doing it again. Like he like figured out that was like the best script, and he's just like trying to set her up for that exact reaction, but she's not doing it.
Yeah. I like that this is the first time the TARDIS entrance scene is so good because it starts off dark, like we see it pan out. I don't know, there's some great directing moments in this, especially there. Bell's reaction is perfect. Yeah, again, I remember back in the day, our collective reaction was probably like, oh, this is totally like Moffat doing some like I'm not like other girls ooh-woo reaction. Like I don't react like those normies, but like it's genuinely charming. I don't have a problem with it. Yeah.
Okay, Heather does kind of have some I'm not like other girls energy. Just a little. Just a little.
Yeah, I'd say this is like, I don't know, like I could complain about Heather being a case of like a bury your gaze, but if you're a discount,
no, it's
like,
not, because
diet,
she doesn't die. In fact, not only does she live past this, making this not a case of fridging, she undoes when Bill gets fridged at the end of the season. So it's double fridging.
We'll get there. I have mixed opinions on that, but what I'm saying is even if it was fridging, like, if you're doing it to a character that's basically a diet pixie dream girl, like, okay, you've convinced me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit hot and cold. Again, nothing in this episode is massively problematic. It's funny. We're grasping at straws because in all genuineness, this is like, I think this might be, I would have to like rerun like 11th Hour, but I think this is definitely in contention for my favorite, like, companion introduction to, like, the TARDIS and everything that, like, period. It's so good. How it escalates from, like, oh, we've traveled to the vault, and we've traveled to Australia, we've traveled to a new planet, Daleks. Like, even the throwaway Dalek bullshit is, like, actually fine.
Yeah.
It makes
even
sense.
If it is, like, the most obviously, like, yeah, we gotta get their yearly appearance out of the way right now, so here they are.
Well, yeah, like, I'd prefer that to, like, oh, we gotta make a story when he doesn't want to do that, and when it doesn't fit. It's just like, okay, here, you have your fan service. Here's the aliens that are from the one classic story that I haven't seen. Like,
the Daleks are funny. It's just like, gotta have the season appearance.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, I will say, so jokes about how I found last week's episode kind of good looking initially until I thought about it aside. This week's episode does actually legitimately look really good.
There's a few effects that are like...
Aside from the CGI, as I was going to say, some of the water CGI is kind of bad, but at this point, that's to be expected.
It looks like fucking Odo.
Odo is based. JK, not really. That's a whole different discussion. Yeah, the only effect that I was, like, really... that I looked at and I was just like, that's a TV budget, was when Bill's in, like, the bathroom in the, like, Australian restaurant and the droplets just start, like, appearing out of the mirror. That was a little like film school student, you know, core, you know. It was, everything else I don't have a problem with, even if they kind of reuse the whole, like, Waters of Mars, like, aesthetic of, like, being drenched and, like, the dripping from, like, the hair and the hands, and, like, it's still a good effect. Like, go off.
Yeah.
I will say I enjoy the part they're in Australia because I'm an Australianophile.
Does it count as being an Australianophile if you stan Stray Kids?
Hey, did you guys know that King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard are going to release 3 albums next month? Did you guys know that? They're going to release 3 albums next month.
Okay.
Inshallah.
Happy fucking...
I like how we brought that up with 3 things that are tangentially related to Australia. No one here knows who the fuck Stray Kids are.
Yes!
Oh, I could not figure out how that was related at all.
God.
Anyways, shout-outs to our Australian listener. Love you, bestie.
No. Crikey. Fuck. We're fine. We haven't talked about Nardole.
He's just kinda there. He doesn't really do anything this episode. He'll be around more later.
Yeah. I just think it's continuing the good direction that he's, like in Husbands, he's clearly, like, a bit character. In Mysterio, he's also basically a bit character, but it's clear he, like, knows more shit now, and this is just continuing that. We won't really see, like, him of any substance until quite a bit later, but, like, I enjoy him. You know, it is a risk to have, like, a comedy actor like this in, like, a long-standing role. Like, that could turn out terribly, but it's genuinely good. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. That being said, that's honestly... Oh, shit. Okay. I almost forgot. The very end, with the mind wipe, which is just... I'm not going to say RTD, but it's really, really good. And understated in a way that I feel like Moffat himself sometimes forgets he can be.
Yeah, just, oh my god, the fucking, how would you feel if somebody did this to you? And then just like the quiet version of Clara's theme playing hauntingly, and just the look on his face, and he's just like, go! Go!
Yeah.
Please never do that again.
You keep telling me to stop doing the Scottish accent, but I continue to do it, so...
That was Australian.
Well, also, I've just accepted the fact that you don't listen to what I say, so ultimately my attempts will be futile, and there is nothing I can do about it. Anyways, I'm good to go on to ratings if you guys are.
I love the last sequence and scene. We kind of already brought that up with like the whole memories thing, but it like, I don't know, it's nice to see like some consequence and like impact, even if you didn't like how that ended for the characters. It's like, cause I'll be real, I forgot that was like a plot point that he like wanted to do that, but it's like it's very clearly following up. And then time and relative dimension in space, it means what the hell? Like what a not great line, but it's Peter Capaldi, so I'm just like, fuck it.
Yeah.
I'm in. Like but yeah, I'm ready for ratings.
All right. Yeah. No, this is an astonishingly good start to a really solid season that I'm very salty we only have one of. And it's really nice as we reach the end of this show, or at least this show as it's been running mostly weekly for a year and a half, that we get to come back and have some really good bangers near the end.
2.5 years.
Shit.
2 3/4 years, actually.
Wait. Oh, yeah, no, it has been 2.5 because we started in 2020.
We've had
Fuck!
this is literally the second time we've had this exact conversation on the podcast while recording.
Yeah. I keep thinking, yeah. Yeah, I keep forgetting that, yeah, all right. All of 2020, all of 2021, and now September 2022. Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, we at least get some bangers near the end before we have to end off really disappointingly, unfortunately. Unless we manage to take so long to get to there that the first RTD episode is out and we get to have something hopeful again. Or I don't know. Maybe we just go, what if we just fucking watched Attack the Block? Because that has Jodie Whittaker in it. It is better than, like, pretty much every Chibnall episode. Okay, whatever. This episode's really good. Really fucking good. It looks great aside from the usual Doctor Who dodgy CGI. Bill's amazing. It's a really good setup plot. I love this era of 12 in particular. It's honestly, I'd give this an S. This is a personal favorite.
Yeah. This is a really strong start to the series. We have a great setting. Great new introduction of characters in Pearl Mackey's Bill. What a great casting choice. I mean, genuinely, I think, like, one of the top 5 in terms of, like, reoccurring characters that the show has had so far. Nardole is, continues to be good and will become great, I think, by the time this series is over. We're I'm gonna stop saying it at some point. We're in the age of 12's Giga Chad era. It's glorious to see. Yeah, great representation of U-Haul lesbianism. I already said that. Good shit. Yeah, this episode's just like really well constructed. Kind of feels familiar, but it's not quite comfort food. It's a little bit more challenging and like heartbreaking than that. It's an interesting balance to strike. I'm excited to talk about what comes next. This is a solid fucking A. I think I may have switched back to numbers last time, but fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Okay? I show up. I can decide how to rate things.
Stupid and arbitrary. Who gives a fuck?
Letter ratings are stupid and arbitrary.
Yeah. Look, this is like whose line is it anyway? It's all made up. It doesn't matter. It's vibes. We're vibing.
We're talking about a dumb British sci-fi show. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, we took the L when we decided to be stans of a British show. Like we're here. Yeah, strong A. Fuck you.
I think British grading works on a chip chap Cheerio system, but like with pluses and minuses.
Yeah, bugger off, mate.
Hoity-toity. Anyways.
God.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm quite as hot in this episode as you two are, but I think it's a really solid start to the season. I think Bill is fun and interesting, and I think that the way this episode progresses is just a fun little romp. I enjoy just, like, having a nice little time to spend getting things set up and just sort of, like, having things be a bit more normal. And I enjoy that there's not totally a monster plot to this episode, because it's kind of just, like, works itself out. And obviously I'm a big fan of U-Haul lesbians. They just like sees each other literally twice, travels across the universe in like 23 million years to see you.
Yeah. Is literally gushing. Fuck, I did it. Alright, whatever.
Seeps into your hole. Anyways,
God. No.
Nardole also specifically calls out the banter in this one. Wait, sorry. Nardole specifically calls out the banter in this one. And I agree, there's good banter in this, and I think that's a big reason of why Bill and 12 have good chemistry, is because, I don't know, I feel like Bill, Clara and all of them actually tend to like have banter in a way that's like self-consciously playing into the Doctor's bullshit, but Bill's just kind of like that. That is something specific about Bill that I enjoy. She's just like that. She's not trying to be funny. She just is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I enjoy that. Overall, I would give this episode maybe a 7.75 out of 10. That's what I'm feeling, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So next week we will be discussing Series 10, Episode 2, Smile. Until then, you can follow the podcast on Twitter at B2TARDISPod. You can support us on Patreon for a number of benefits, such as early access to episodes and the ability to listen in live to episodes being recorded, and potentially even the ability to guest star upon an episode of your choosing. I'm Jeff. You can follow me on Twitter at WheatleyDL.
I'm a part-time lesbian. You can follow us at Ahoraborealis on Twitter.com.
I'm the Australian Chaser and love the character Nardole, and you can follow me at Until Fear Leaves on Twitter.com.
And we will see you all next week.